Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza Line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza Line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
Ball is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, and once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza Line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza Line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
Ball is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, and once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza Line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza Line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
Ball is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, And once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is
Thank you so much. I am muted. What's up, Alex? What's up, Stork? What's up, Dylan? Hope everyone's having a great day. Guys, I've been on one as far as I'm 3 for 3 forgetting that I'm muted, which is ridiculous. But it happens. I'm going to go ahead and put myself on Do Not Disturb so I make sure that that doesn't happen. But guys, hopefully, Alex, I am good to go now. I think my mic is working. Yes, it does look like it's working. Look at the chat. You're muted. I am. There we go. Happy that you guys are on top of it. Guys, today's episode 35. I've been doing this for a while now, 35 days. But yeah, we started off with Coffee and Baseball, which was at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Now we are doing the Mendoza Line, which is, you know, the 7 o'clock every single day on weekdays. So happy Friday, guys. If this is your first ever Coffee and Baseball, guys, go ahead and put the baseball emoji down below in the chat so that way I know it's your first ever time listening in. We do have some questions over on YouTube. By the way, guys, we are live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So let's get into it. My son's a 2026 right-handed pitcher, sitting 83 to 85. Oop. And by the way, guys, if you have baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. That's why we do these. Tony, what's up? Hope everyone is having a great day today. I'm going to go ahead and actually refresh this guy because for whatever reason, not getting the accurate stuff going on. So hopefully that fixes the issue here. All right, let's get back into this question wherever it was. Let's go to weekly routine for me training and skill-wise. I have practice Tuesday and Thursday. I have a tournament one weekend, yes, one weekend, no. So basically, getting into a good weekly routine. Don't think about the games as being blockers. If anything, those are the days that we need to modify things around our current setup, Alex. So let me just finish up this example real quick, though. But he struggles with consistency inning to inning. How do coaches view that? So as far as like the accuracy, right? If your son's a senior, 83 to 85, that's very like middle of the pack in my opinion for a right-handed pitcher only. I would assume that he's a PO unless you would have told me that he plays another position. So 83, 85, like if you're going to be a PO, I would want that to be somewhere 85, 88 to give yourself a chance to play college baseball. Of course, college baseball programs will want to see that possibly creep up closer to 90 miles an hour. The sooner, the better. But as far as if you don't have accuracy, like yes, velocity will get you in the door. The way that you stay is with command. Again, command is that accuracy. So hopefully that answers your question. And let's go ahead and copy and paste this because I forgot once again. And let's get it to Alex's question. As far as like a weekly routine, so routine is important, right? We need to have a routine with everything that we've got going on. And it is important that we stay consistent, right? So that's where like routine, don't think about like a 3-hour routine, right? That's not the way to go about it. Don't even think about like a 1-hour routine. Think about what we can do every single day that ends in a Y, AKA every single day. Doesn't matter if we play a game or not. This is the cheat code to be able to stay consistent, guys. You need to have the ability to keep this going no matter what, right? So think about routines as like, what can I get done in 15 minutes, right? If we have this mindset of what can we do as far as what are the possibilities, it opens up the understanding on like what can we actually get done. When we think to ourselves, well, I don't have 5 hours to work out today, I'm not going to get better as a baseball player. If anything, you're actually just like demining yourself. That's not the way to build out routine. So 15 minutes, that's all it takes, especially during the spring season, especially during the summer season. Guys, it is and it will always be, Alex, and you've heard me say this before because you're a repeated visitor of the Mendoza Line. Guys, it will never be easier to separate yourself from the rest of the competition as it will be today. I'm going to repeat that because sometimes you guys need to hear it. It will never be easier to separate yourself from the rest of the competition. Today, you are probably in high school. For the majority of the people that are listening into my lives and the majority of my audience, it's usually 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. The majority of you guys, it will never be easier. Once you get to college, everyone is going to be up here. Like, yes, you might be up here compared to the rest of the high school talent, but when you're in college, that bottom tier now has elevated. Now everyone's right here, right? Maybe you might be a really good player at that college level, and maybe that you're still a little bit above average from the rest of the competition at college level. But think about in pro ball, everyone's going to be right here, and the difference is going to be tiny, right? In high school, the gap between the good players, the average players, and the bad players, it's such a big gap. It really is such a big gap. And again, it's never going to be easier to separate yourself from the rest of the competition as it will be today. I'm going to put my money on that, guys, and you better put your money on it too, because if you understand anything about timing, obviously baseball has a lot of timing, guys. You need to understand that you can never get the time back when you are a high school baseball player. You can never get it back. You can't, hit reverse. You can't ask for the pitcher to throw the fastball down the middle again because you weren't ready, right? Nate, what's up? I got a question. If your coach has like team warm-ups and I'm a catcher and I need to do more stretching, how do I get more stretching in without being rude or being a good teammate? I get you. So an area that when you're getting that stretching in, and this is really important for everyone that's listening. Nate, great question though. So let's talk about like a typical schedule, right? So like 12 p.m. noon, this is like what we did in college, and this is like a very similar process that what we would do in professional baseball as well. So 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Let's just talk about that. So let's talk about like basically team practice, right? So this is team. This is where like you don't want to be doing your own thing. You want to do everything organized with the team, right? So this is basically off limits as far as doing anything on your own. And by the way, like that team practice might go until like, let's just say like 6 p.m. in college, especially. I'm just kind of working through my college routine because it's important to understand like how we can get that extra work in other areas, right? So anything beyond, I'm going to change colors up right here because I think this is an important aspect. So we would have things in pro ball called early work. And as you guys could probably imagine and put two and two together, early work happens right here, right? Anywhere in the green section. That early work is sometimes organized, meaning organized early work is typically in this section. So basically this is called early work. Early work is where, typically speaking, it could be fielding or it could be hitting. Typically for position players, those are the two that are most important, right? So early work, fielding, taking ground balls. Early work hitting is basically hitting maybe on the field with a smaller group of maybe like 3 hitters, right? So if we have that small group of work, we're going to get extra reps in. We're going to be able to refine our feedback loop that much quicker as far as when the coach tells us to do something. Maybe we need to work on the outside pitch. Maybe we need to understand how to stay on top of the plate because we're pulling off too much. Anyway, this is when we really address it on like a microscopic level. It's not going to be in that team BP because team BP, it's a little bit more like let's go. Every hitter has 6 swings per round, whatever the case may be, right? So that's what it was in college. So again, your main question, Nate, you're asking about like when should I get that extra work in to get stretched out because I'm a catcher and I want to make sure I'm a good teammate. I also want to take care of my body, right? Because my body's important. It's really understanding that if there's that early work, that's either the time to do it individually where you get to the field maybe 15 minutes early. And again, the importance of what I talked about earlier, that 15 minutes in the spring season when everyone's so busy that they don't even know what to do. Guys, find the 15 minutes. Find the 15 minutes. For me, high school classes got out at 2:15. Usually practice started at 2:45 to 3. It really depended when the coach got there and whatnot, but usually around 2:45 to 3. So typically speaking, we would have 30 minutes to get to the field. We had a locker room, so we got to change and everything. We got 30 minutes to basically change and get to the field. Usually, like, once you get to the field, you want to start setting up the field for practice, etc. But also, if you get to the field right away and you want to get that extra stretch in, you can definitely do that, right? And maybe that's for just like 15 minutes, right? Again, how can we be as productive as possible, especially when we're a high school baseball player with tests, with quizzes, with homework? We get it. You're busy. But at the end of the day, guys, this is a sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. And sometimes it's crazy to say, but you have to sacrifice just 15 minutes to be a good baseball player. And that might sound wild, but it's crazy on how many people don't sacrifice 15 minutes a day. It's really crazy. So again, that early work is when you want to, and when it's okay, Nate, by the way, to get that early work in, and no one's going to necessarily say anything to you. If anything, just get to that field right away in that early section right here, and then make sure you're getting your stuff in, so that way when bullpens start, you're already stretched out, you're already loose, you've already got your hips activated, etc. So that way you can actually, conquer the day. I'm going to answer one more question, then I'm going to head over to a quick little tidbit that I'm going to do every live. But Alex, like Monday, hitting, stretch first, then tee, then softballs, stuff like that. What would be a good weekly routine to train hitting every day? So your hitting prep work, so basically, again, early hitting is basically what we want to do as far as our routine. And same thing applied when we were in pro ball. Our routine for like hitting would typically be like, some people did the tee. I didn't do that, but I would do like flips. And basically, if I got like 2 to 3 rounds of flips in before BP started, like cha-ching, that's what it takes every single day. It doesn't take 15 rounds. It doesn't take anything crazy like that. It just takes flips, right? Flips is basically, again, for the early hitting. And like if you're in the cage, whatever, early hitting would be flips, right? If you're not going to do on-field BP for that specific day. Now, when we do that team BP, that's where we're going to do like on-field, and that's going to be like coach BP. So understand, like, this is a routine if we do it consistently enough. So just keep that in mind with everything that you got going on. Guys, I get questions just about every single day on who I am, what I do, what my program's all about. We will help high school baseball players play at the next level. So go ahead, listen to this quick video, and I will be back on the back end.
Real quick, if you have a son in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade who wants to play college baseball, listen up. At the Mendoza Baseball Academy, I built a triple play with the physical development, mental toughness, and a recruiting system that gets players noticed. And it's 100% remote, so no missed school, no wasted travel, just real results from home while your son works one-on-one with me. Click the link below to learn more and book a call with either myself or...
All right, we're back. I'm going to be doing some of those and then another like 4 or 5 minute video here in a couple minutes. Actually closer to like that 35-minute mark every time we do the Mendoza line. So let's get to Albert's question. My 10-year-old plays rec ball Saturday, travel Sunday, also practices 4 days a week. Do you think that's too much for a kid? I feel like I'm pushing too much, but he loves it. So that's where, like, it's really interesting because I don't have any kids, so take this all with a grain of salt. So with the component of pushing your kids too hard, so there's a give and take, right? So like you have to be, again, like if we are playing bowling, right? And those are the pins, right? And this is the lane. There's usually that gutter right here, right? And when you're usually pretty young, what happens? You have... basically, right here, we have the guardrails, right? This is what you should be, in my opinion, as a parent. You should be the guardrails. If your son has the ability to roll that ball himself, aka it sounds like he does, then let him be a kid. Let him have fun. Don't instruct him on the specifics on what to do, but just let him have fun. Now, I would say, like, you can definitely incorporate new activities for him. And I say activities because, like, hitting a wiffle ball and playing wiffle ball, in my opinion, is one of the best things that you can do for hand-eye coordination. So, like, incorporate that into the fun of the game, because if we're just training, hey, don't dip your backside, don't dip your hands, you're collapsing, you're lunging, whatever. if you start that type of process for your son, he might start resenting the whole game at some point in time once he hits a certain level of failure. So keep in mind, be the bumpers right here and let him take the initiative. The one thing that I do want to focus on, guys, because it is very, very interesting, especially the dynamic of lessons, right? So private lessons. And I'm curious, Albert, if you've done private lessons before. You've probably heard of some family members or some individuals maybe on your son's travel ball team that have done lessons in the past. And I'm curious on that because ideally when we're talking about these lessons, guys, it is really important to understand that not everyone is going to do lessons and not everyone needs to do lessons. And when we're talking about these private lessons, guys, a lot of the time, these private lessons ultimately come with, you know, a huge dollar amount. Usually sometimes as much as $100 an hour. $100 in 1 hour. 1 hour. Let's just say we're alive. We're not sleeping. You know, what is it? 24 minus 8 hours of sleep. Let's just say we're alive 16 hours out of the month. 16 times 30, we have 480 total hours. And if you go 4 times a month, 4 divided by 480, we're going and practicing baseball 0.83% of the month. Do we think that this is enough, right? And yes, like it is important to understand he already left. I don't even know how you are able to tell that, Alex. But either way, this is a very interesting concept, right? And I think it's something that I think a lot of people need to understand. So, and this is something that I'm probably just going to go ahead and record as well, because again, if we're doing private lessons, in my opinion, private lessons are a complete scam if you're playing baseball, especially if you're a high school baseball player, because usually it has a huge price tag of around $100 an hour, right? If we go 4 times a month, guys, 4 times a month equates to less than 1% of the entire month. Let's just say that we are alive 16 hours of the day. Yes, I get it. You have high school practice, you have games, you have, homework, you got everything. I get that. But we are alive, let's just say 16 hours a day, multiplied that by 30 days out, that's 480 hours. If we only do 4 that are concentrated, focused work, that's not going to be enough to really move the needle forward and ultimately move the needle forward and up to the right? So we need to understand that it's going to take a lot more work than just going to these private lessons to actually realize your dreams and your goals. So it's not really what most people expect it to be, because a lot of people are sold on like, hey, we get to work with this really talented hitting coach and he's so great. But really what he really is doing is just telling your son, good job, every time he barrels up a ball and hits a line drive. And I'm pretty sure your son is a talented high school baseball player. He already knows these things. He wants to work on his mindset a little bit more. He needs a little bit more of a mentor, not necessarily a coach babysitting him. So that is my take, my possibly hot take on private lessons. Guys, I didn't do private lessons past like fifth or sixth grade. So in my opinion, like private lessons aren't the most important thing and you really don't need to do it. You can click on the view thing and see who's live. So potentially from your side, I can't do it on, so I'm on like desktop, obviously. I have my phone also right here as well, but it is, something that is important. I guess to see who's part of this live and who's not. But guys, if this is your first ever, the Mendoza Line, go ahead and drop a baseball emoji down below in the chat to make sure that you are telling me that this is your first ever time in the stream. And it makes me just know that you guys are being taken care of. I'm gonna make sure that you are welcomed in. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and drop any baseball emojis if this is your first ever the Mendoza Line. But yeah, let's get back into it, guys. We have a couple of questions over on YouTube, so let's go ahead and get those away. So his exit velocity is 89.91, but his game power hasn't shown up yet. Is that a concern? So guys, as far as the tools for baseball, the first one and the most important in my opinion is like your speed, your foot speed. I should have written that. AKA your 60-yard dash. Your second or easiest, in my opinion, is glove / defense. Third, in my opinion, is hit contact. Fourth will be arm. And then fifth is EV, power, hit, power, EV. So I think this is actually an important one to go ahead and record for a short form, because I think you guys need to understand this at a deeper level. All right, let's get started. All right, his exit velocity is 89 to 91, but his game power has not shown up yet. Is that a concern for college coaches? So let's talk about the 5 tools in baseball. So number 1, in my opinion, the easiest one to develop is your foot speed. How well of an athlete you are, how well of a 60-yard dash you are able to run. Next up is the glove with your defensive abilities. Next up is your hitting for contact. Finally is your arm. And the last one that's going to be developed, and this is true in professional baseball, in college baseball, and even true in my professional journey, I didn't hit my first ever big field home run until my sophomore year of college at NC State. So think about how ridiculous that is. Guys, my power didn't develop until very, very late. And for most players, it doesn't develop until sometimes in college or in professional baseball in the minor leagues. So keep that in mind. If you're concerned about the exit velocity and it's not necessarily matching up to where some other prospects are, don't sweat it too much. Just understand that you have the ability to have really solid contact. You have the understanding of barrel awareness. You have the ability also to refine all 4 of these, while this one might be still lacking a little bit. Guys, it's okay, you have time, but you need to make sure that what you're doing in the gym is going to help translate to that rotational power right here. So just keep that in mind with everything that you got going on for your physical development. Because that is something that I think is just really interesting, because a lot of people don't realize, again, what I just mentioned. I didn't hit my first big field home run until my sophomore year of college. Think about how crazy that is. I hit maybe like 4 home runs when I was in travel ball on the little league fields. But besides that, guys, I did not do anything super special. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel like you're behind too much. Of course, yes, we need to make sure that we're doing the right things. We're doing what we need to. But at the end of the day, guys, don't stress out too much if your exit velocity isn't necessarily up to par. That's just an area that, unfortunately, is being looked at more and more. Of course, they're tracking it more, but again, it's not necessarily the number one thing that scouts are going to be grading you on. Yes, if you have the power tool, it is a rare commodity, but in my opinion, if you have the contact abilities first, and then we have the ability second to develop that power ability, that's going to be the cheat code that college recruiting coordinators will find in players that are maybe overlooked or overlooked in the whole college recruiting process. So hopefully that makes sense, guys, because again, if you have, for me, my contact abilities were off the chart. I could hit and run with the best of them, right? But that power ability wasn't necessarily there until really, I don't want to say I ever had power. Yes, I had ability to hit home runs in games. I had 4 home runs my sophomore year. I had a total of maybe 15 my entire college career, and then my entire professional career. So think about this. In 3 years at the NCAA Division I level, I had around 15 home runs. Okay? That was 3 years. Now, in 7 years in the minor leagues, I had 20 home runs. Not many. So think about that, guys. I wasn't super developed with the bat, but I had other areas of my game that ultimately moved the needle for me. So always keep that in mind with everything that we've got going on. That hitting ability is usually going to be the biggest thing that ultimately develops last, right? So if you're a high school baseball player and your hitting ability or your power hasn't developed yet, basically don't sweat it too much. I'm going to say that. If you're a high school baseball player and your power ability hasn't developed yet, listen up. Guys, first and foremost, we need to have the contact ability to be able to hit the ball on the barrel of the bat consistently. That power will come. And speaking from experience, guys, think about how crazy this is. In 3 years at the NCAA level, at the D1 level, at NC State, I had 15 home runs, which is nothing to be super proud of. But think about this, 7 years in minor league baseball, I had 20 home runs. My power ability was never truly there. And that's why I think it's important to think about, we have all of these other tools that we can be focusing on. We have the ability to really focus on my defense, which I did. We have the ability to focus on the athleticism and your 6-yard dash time, which I did. The hitting for contact, I always had that in my tool belt. I always had a great 2-strike approach. I had a decent arm. I didn't have anything that was super crazy. And my power definitely wasn't necessarily there. Again, my first ever big field home run came my sophomore year of college. Keep that in mind when you might feel a little bit stuck or maybe you're plateauing in your development. Always understand, though, the area that I think I changed the most in that college year where, I started getting a little bit more power, because in high school, I could never hit a home run, even in my dreams. It was how I trained in the gym. So always keep in mind what we do in the gym has a direct correlation on how we can, develop and perform even better on the field. But it's important that we're doing the right things, not just doing anything. So just keep those things in mind. All right, guys. Elliot, what's up? Ethan, how we doing? Andre Gray, how we doing? Hope everyone's having a great day today. Happy Friday, guys. This is the Mendoza Line. This is where I talk about mindset development and recruiting. If you're a high school baseball player, this is a must watch. Guys, go ahead and head over to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Subscribe over there. Also in the YouTube subscription, there's actually a way to add it to your calendar so you don't forget. I know a lot of people are probably getting back from maybe practice. Maybe you had a game. If you guys have a game today, or you just came home from practice, let me know, because I'm always curious on what you've got going on this spring season with everything, because I know, this is the time where baseball starts to ramp up for a lot of you and things are getting going. So no, it's always fun to hear where you guys are at and, of course, how I could potentially help. Also, if you guys have any baseball related questions in particular, I'm always curious on, again, how I can help you without giving like vanilla answers. That's my big thing. I always disliked when I got vanilla answers, whether that was at school or in baseball instruction. So that's where it's like, if you let me know where you're currently at with anything, I will help you guys out. So just keep those things in mind. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and create a new All right. We're going to do a recorded video here in a second. All right, let's get it. Stop sending emails to the same 50 schools. They can tell and they will delete it without even reading it, because ultimately you're spamming these college baseball coaches. Here's what's going to happen if you do this. A kid, maybe you are copy and pasting it. Maybe you're a parent who sends this very generic email to every single school on a list. Dear coach, whatever, I'm interested in your program. I work hard. I'm a learner. I love the game of baseball. Here's my video. Yet these emails are going to get ignored probably like 100% of the time. And you know why? Because it could have been sent to absolutely anybody. And coaches want to know that you actually care about their school and actually care about them. So that's where it's important to personalize every single one of these emails. Even if it's a D2 school, even if it's a D3 school, find some information on these coaches that you're emailing and learn about them. And this is what you should really do instead. Pick maybe 10 schools, if 20 is too intimidating for you, that you have actually researched. Watch their games. Maybe you understand a little bit more about the head coach or the assistant coach or the recruiting coordinator. Do some Googling and see what kind of positions that they ultimately are needing in their depth chart. Then write a real email with that personalization with what we've just mentioned, and tell them basically why you are a fit for their program. Tell them what position you play, what makes you different, your metrics, a highlight video. Guide them to that next asset so that way they can do a fractional evaluation on who you are. Make it about them, Don't make it just about you. Everyone makes it about you. So send those 10 personalized emails, not just 50 spray and pray type emails, because coaches don't recruit that effort. They recruit kids who actually show that they want to be there. So if you're sending the same email to everyone, stop wasting your time. All right, stop wasting your time. Shark, how we doing? Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Guys, if you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. That's why I do these. Joshua, Shark, Cologne, Hometown Hero, Gray Freed. Guys, welcome in. Guys, if this is your first ever Mendoza Line, go ahead and drop a baseball emoji down below in the chat. I want to know whose first time it is, and that way I can make sure that I give you guys best baseball education possible. Emisa, I don't know, is that Pierre ET4, MJ Ward, hope you're doing well. Cooper, welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Guys, this is the Mendoza Line. This is a live stream that I do every single weekday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So, guys, if you have baseball-related questions, feel free to join in here. Join in here with your parents. If your parents are nearby, go ahead and have them join in as well. Maybe ask a question. If you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. And you might be asking yourself, why in the world would I listen to this dude? Well, I played 7 years of professional baseball, 6 with the Cardinals, 1 with the San Diego Padres. Been able to play along some pretty cool athletes. And what I do is I help high school baseball players play at the next level with physical, mental, and recruiting guidance. And I think this would actually be a perfect time to share with you guys the video that I like to do probably at that halfway point of these Mendoza Line live streams. By the way, these live streams are every single day at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so mark your calendar. And if you're over on YouTube, guys, there's a link in the description over on YouTube to add it to your calendar, so that way it's super, super simple for you to join in and be reminded. But let's go ahead and listen to this video, and I'll see you on the other side.
Are you the parent of a high school baseball player dreaming of playing at the college level? Do you want to see your child's potential fully realized, but you feel like the road to getting noticed by college coaches is long, you're uncertain, and expensive? Well, if that's you, this video is going to show you exactly how you can help your child turn that dream into reality without wasting time on generic programs or pricey recruiting services. I'm Evan Mendoza, and for the past 7 years, I've played professionally between the St. Louis Cardinals and San Diego Padres. I've also played D1 ball at NC State while studying aerospace engineering. But here's the thing. I didn't get there by chance. And the players that I've helped along the way didn't get there by luck either. We followed a proven system. Take Ian, for example, who boosted his exit velocity and sprint speed after just a few weeks and just recently committed to play college baseball. Or like Hugo Sagasaki, who's training all the way from Japan, has been consistently improving his performance and has colleges from the US reaching out to him. I'm sharing these stories because this isn't just about making small improvements. It's about making real, measurable progress that leads to life-changing opportunities for your child. And I want you to experience the same results. Here's the harsh truth. Most high school baseball players never get noticed by college scouts. And the reason is because they get stuck in a cycle of generic training programs that don't address their specific needs or showcase their unique talents. They spend hours at the gym or on the field hoping for a breakthrough, but the results just don't come. And worse yet, they miss critical opportunities because they don't have a roadmap to get where they want to go. It's frustrating. You've supported your child through every game, every practice, but there's no clear path to standing out from the thousands of other athletes fighting for the same college spots. Maybe you felt this too, watching your child work hard every single day and still not getting the attention from college scouts. Maybe you've been to showcases and watched other players get offers while your child was being overlooked. Or perhaps you've been feeling the pressure to make the big leap in performance before your child's senior year, but you're not sure what needs to change. It's exhausting, right? Knowing your child has the potential, but not having the right support or strategy to make that leap. The truth is, college scouts don't just want a good player. They want someone who's prepared mentally, physically, and is also educated. Someone who stands out from the rest and can prove they've got what it takes. And I get it, I have been there. I played at the highest levels alongside guys like Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Yadier Molina, and even Albert Pujols. And one thing that sets apart those players isn't just their talent, it's how they prepare and position themselves for success. And that's exactly what I'm here to help your child with. I've developed the Triple Play system, a 6-month program designed specifically for your high school baseball player who wants to become a college prospect. This isn't just another training program. It's a complete roadmap tailored for your child's needs and goals. It's like having a personal coach, a mentor, a college advisor, and even a scout, all rolled up into one, guiding your child every step of the way. The triple play system breaks down into 3 core components. Their physical development. We focus on what your child needs to improve, whether it's increasing his exit velocity, refining his fielding skills, or improving his speed. Every weakness becomes a strength. His mental development. This game isn't just physical. It's mental too. We help him build the mindset and resilience needed to perform under pressure, especially when college scouts are watching. And lastly, the recruiting strategy. We'll create a personalized game plan to get your child noticed. From showcases to direct outreach, we'll ensure your child is on the radar to top colleges by the end of this program. So what does that mean for your child? It means real results. It means walking into their next showcase knowing they've made the measurable improvements. It means having a solid recruiting plan in place that pulls them in front of the right scouts at the right time. And most importantly, it means your child is no longer just another player. They're a top prospect. But beyond that, think about the pride that you'll feel when you hear your child's name called by a college coach offering a college scholarship. Imagine the look on their face when they see all their hard work finally paying off. And picture them stepping onto a college field, knowing they've earned that spot. This is more than just getting better at baseball. It's about securing your child's future, building their confidence, and creating opportunities that will shape the rest of their life. If you're ready to give your child the best shot at earning a college scholarship and becoming the player that scouts can't ignore, I'd love to talk with you personally. But here's the catch. We only work with a small number of athletes at a time because this program is highly personalized and one-on-one. That means spaces are limited. We open up just a few spots each month to parents who are serious about seeing real, measurable progress in their child's game. If you want to finally see your child stand out at showcases and attract the attention of college recruiters, then now is the time to act. Here's what I need you to do. Scroll down to the calendar below and book a call with me today. On this call, we'll go over your child's current challenges, their specific goals, and determine if they're even a good fit for the triple play system. And remember, we've helped over 50 athletes like your child improve their game and secure interest from college coaches. So if you want to be the next parent to see your child's hard work finally pay off, don't wait. These spots fill up fast, and once they're gone, I won't be opening up new ones until the next group finishes. If you're serious about giving your child the edge that they need to compete at the next level, scroll down and book a call with me now. This is your opportunity to change the course of your child's future. I'm looking forward to helping them become the player that college coaches are excited to recruit. But remember, this program is not for everyone. It's only for athletes who are ready to commit to making real progress and achieving real results. So if that's you and your child, book the call now, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Are you the parent?
All right. We're back in action. So we got a question. Am I able to go to the MLB being homeschooled? Because you didn't answer me when I asked first. I just need a yes or no. So I'm not going to give you a yes or no, dude, because at the end of the day, anything is possible. Yes, but it's not like a guaranteed thing where, yes, you are homeschooled and you are guaranteed to play in the MLB. It's not how it works, right? And I'm not going to also say because you're homeschooled, no to MLB. Like, dude, it all comes from within. So at the end of the day, you are going to be the one that ultimately will guide yourself to the MLB or not. It's not based off of your circumstances. It's not based off of your surrounding. It's who you become in the daily effort. As we've seen in, like, there's that one individual, I think he's like a catcher, who was showing, like, he was training in like the slums in like Africa, and he had like duct tape catcher's gear and things like that. It's who you want to become in this journey that's going to help you get to the big leagues or not. It's not if you're homeschooled or not. That's a factor that is not even relevant in the decision on if you're going to have the ability to play in college or even at the professional levels. What's the best tee routine? So let's actually talk about this because this is a pretty common question. I think you would probably see some value in it. So I'm going to go. No worries, dude. That's why you're here. I want to make sure you guys get like valid answers, not vanilla answers. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going. All right. And we're going to also record this over here as well. All right. All right, great question. What is the best tee routine? So let's get started, because tee routines, in my opinion, don't necessarily just start and end with a tee. We need to have an understanding on how we can develop a hitting routine that is actually sufficient to be able to hit certain competitive levels. So if we think about, let's just use a baseline of compete score. So a compete score is basically the C that I'll just draw next to certain drills. And that's going to be on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being like very game-like, 1 being very, very easy. So this is like a typical routine that I would do in professional baseball. Depending on if you like tee or not, that's going to be a C1, right? Pretty easy, nothing too complicated from that. 2, next up would be a progression basically to getting to the most competitive, which is going to be more like basically, any type of like live at bats, right? But technically we're not going to put that into the equation, right? So 2 would be like side flips. So side flips are great because, again, you just need one other helper to basically flip that. You don't want to be side flipping like at a 90-degree angle of the hitting zone. You kind of want to do a 45-degree. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that is more on the hitter side of thing than anything. Competitive level, that's going to be like a C2. All right. 3, this is going to be like front flips. And this is going to be your typical front flip in a cage. Nothing super difficult here. Again, since it's going to be underhand at a pretty low effort, the competition level is not going to be super hard. Next up, this is what we call power flips with the Cardinals and Padres. Power flips are basically normal flips, but you back up maybe like an extra 5 feet, nothing super crazy, maybe an extra like 3 feet, and you really put a little bit more effort into that low, that underhand flip to the batter. Now, this is when things start to peak up as far as the competition becoming a little bit more difficult. After power flips, what I like to do are a thing called darts. So darts are from the same distance as power flips, but you're going to be throwing like this, a short dart action from the thrower. Or the flipper or the feeder, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be a huge arm action because usually that's going to lead to a little bit more erratic throws and not necessarily the most accurate, but we want to just be dart. And again, the reason for the dart is to get that overhand feeling, so that way we have a trajectory going downwards similar to an actual pitch. Now, because we're at a short distance and we're going overhand and the ball's coming downwards, this is where things get a little bit more difficult. Next up, we can do like a coach BP. And coach BP, again, should mimic the closest to a controlled environment from a game. We want to be probably a good 30 feet away, 35 feet away from home plate, throwing with pretty good intensity. I would say a typical velo for the BP thrower would be somewhere in like the 45 to 55 miles an hour. And if you do that for a long period of time, that's when coaches' shoulders will start to get hurt because you're throwing so consistently. This is where, technically you could have the BP thrower mix in some off-speed pitches. I would not do that. We never really did that in professional baseball or in college baseball. I don't think it's necessary. That's where next up, after Coach BP, the next hardest thing that, again, can be in a somewhat controlled environment is machine BP. And again, machine BP, it's really split into 2. So this is where we could do like a junior hack attack. If you know what a junior hack attack is, that's great. You're right up in my alley. It's basically the 3-wheel machine, but it's the smaller version. That's going to be like a compete 8, where now 8 is machine BP, but it's the 3-wheel. It's the big 3-wheel, and those throw in pretty hard. There's going to be some heat behind that fastball or that curveball, whatever the case may be, whatever we set those dials to. And again, this is where the competition gets that much harder. Technically, the last one is like live BP, live 8 at-bats, basically. And live at-bats are basically like a controlled environment. Pitcher, hitter, very game-like. Yes, stats don't matter or anything like that, but that's where competition is 10. It's most game-like. So now we can see like kind of the temperature, right? So the temperature, if I were to say like this is going to be the harder section, whereas right here this is going to be like a little bit easier. And then of course way up here, this is kind of like the very, very controlled environment, where up here what we want to be focusing on are mechanics, right? Here we want to work on consistency. And then down here, what we want to be focusing on is compete. Because I think it's really important. You're not going to find a lot of success down here. You're just simply not going to find a lot of success. And that's okay, and that's by design. We want to train really our mind on how to get into that competitive mindset. How to hit off a big 3-wheel and how to hit off of a junior hack attack are 2 major differences. junior hack attack, like I can absolutely demolish off of a junior hack attack. Now, if we're talking about big 3-wheel, that's where I'll, get jammed. Sometimes the balls come out a little bit different, and that's where like I can look foolish against a big 3-wheel. So I didn't ever really like hitting off the big 3-wheels. But again, this is where that live at bat is like the cream of the crop as far as the compete section. Now, I think it's really interesting. Maybe I'll pull up some pictures and whatnot. But ultimately, there are new technology. It's called like the iPitch or something like that. And it's pretty cool because there's like an iPad attached to a 3-wheel machine. And basically that iPad can basically do variations of different pitches. So you plug in basically curveball, slider, and, 2-seam fastball, right? And it basically will put variants of these. Like this is going to be used 60% of the time. This is 20, and this is an extra 20, right? So you can put those variations in. You can also put spin rates to replicate the pitcher. This is what typically would happen at the pro level, in the minor leagues and in the big league level. The really cool thing is this iPitch now can be used in combination with the, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but basically there's like a projector screen that actually shows the motion of the pitch. Really cool technology that the San Diego Padres had when I was with them in 2023. I think they might have been the only team that actually had that back in the day. Like 3 years ago. But either way, it was really, really cool to see because that technology was never seen ever by anyone. And it basically, you could change like the release spot as far as like the window of the release spot. Of course, like a Chris Sale would be way different and way out here, whereas like a Ryan Helsley might be like way over the top, for example, right? So keeping these things in mind, like this is how we can, again, when we're talking about, especially in that like 9 to 10 section of compete, this is where like new technology like that iPitch, I think the other one might be called like Pitch Tech, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll throw up a visual for you guys. But basically really cool technology that's going to help us as athletes to ultimately compete at higher and higher levels. So think about how we can implement this, and ultimately, again, going back to it, this is how we can implement like ultimately a huge hitting routine to understand how well we're going to be competing and what to expect as far as the performance. Don't expect the performance down here to be the same as up here. Like if I'm hitting off the tee, I can hit it in the back of the net 100 times out of 100. It should be fairly simple. But if you're hitting live at bats, don't expect to get a single every single at bat, obviously, right? But sometimes you need to be reminded on how much harder this is than this or than this. And hopefully that makes sense. And if you guys are interested in more resources like this, go ahead and click the link down below in the description to work one-on-one with me. All right, that was actually a really solid breakdown. I'm happy that you asked that question. I don't know who exactly that was. Cesar, hopefully you stayed until the end because that was a pretty long breakdown, but hopefully that gave you that clarity that you need. Shark, hey, I have a question. I'm in 8th grade. I'm thinking to reclass when I'm in enter high school. What classes or things necessary to get a higher chance to be seen by scouts and colleges? So in my opinion, like reclassing, I don't have any experience on that. So I don't like talking about things that I don't have any experience on. I will say in that component, like I think it's, I don't know, like reclassing in my opinion, it just like gives yourself an additional year that I probably would not have wanted to be in, as far as like, I wouldn't have wanted to go to an extra year of school. Like in my opinion, like I didn't think that that would be something that I thought would be valuable. But of course, like if you're a super young, 8th grader or a young freshman, in my opinion, like just use it as a chip on your shoulder. Like, yeah, I might be 8 months younger than you, but if we think about like the long scope of like what's really truly going on, when you reclass, like what you're really doing is like, instead of like being like 8 months young, what you're trying to do is basically be, 8 months older than everyone else. When we're talking about months, I wish I could, and it might take me a second, but let me pull up my screen real quick because I think this is something that I think you guys should really know. Let's not do that. Let me do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then. Okay. So when we talk about like, all right, let's do this. All right. Should be good. All right, when we talk about Baseball Reference, guys, also immaculate grid. Interesting. So let's talk about Coco Crisp, for example. Okay, everyone can see my screen, right? Everyone should be able to see my screen with no issues. So, guys, Coco Crisp, big leaguer, mostly known for the his time with the Athletics and Indians. Anyway, one thing that's really cool, by the way, I didn't know he got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. Inglewood. Okay, cool. By the way, Baseball Reference is one of the coolest websites if you are a baseball fan like me. All right, so let's talk about it. So when you are in minor league baseball, which it might have a show non-major. All right, so right here. So Johnson City, for example. Everyone can see my screen. So this is rookie ball for the St. Louis Cardinals. I played in Peoria. Let's see, anywhere else that he played. Okay, either way, it doesn't matter. See how it says age difference? So like this is 0.7. Like this is basically averages out the average age of the whole league. Now, typically speaking, like not a huge difference. Like yes, when you're in the major leagues and you're at 22 years old, you're going to be under the age minimum for that specific league. So basically, he's almost 7 years younger than everyone else. Now, once he was later in his career, let's say when he did a rehab stint in high A, he was 12 years older than everyone else, 7 years older than everyone else basically on his team in that specific year when he was age 36. So when we think about these things and, age, especially 7 years, give or take 4 years, give or take, these are the things, in my opinion, that don't necessarily matter as much, because if we're thinking about reclassing, again, for 8 months, give or take one way or another direction, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. What matters more is the ability that you can develop your skills now, or really yesterday, get on a good structured workout program so that way you can develop your skills, you can play at that next level, you have the ability to develop right now, even though you are a little bit younger. So Shark, hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if that answers your question or not. I do want to make sure that I'm answering your question in a valid way and not a vanilla way. But yeah. Let's see what else we got. How about high school classes? I'm recommending things in high school. So like, yes, taking good quality competitive classes matter, especially if you're trying to go to a little bit more of an academic college. But doesn't matter as much as you'd think. Getting good grades obviously matters. But as long as you have like a 3.0 or higher, your GPA has to start with a 3 or 4 to really make sure that it's good. Once it starts to start with a 2, that's where like I've spoken to about like 2 people in the past 2 months that have a GPA that starts with 2. And just basically at that stage, I end the call because I'm like, yeah, I can't work with you with that. I have to be able to help my students play at the next level, and I can't do that if the GPA is simply just not there. So it is a little bit harsh, but it is something that I want to do to make sure that obviously I'm, giving my students the best ability to, grow. Let me see what's going on. One thing I will say, I definitely do feel like I have more energy in the coffee and baseballs in the morning than I do in this 7 o'clock time slot. I do enjoy doing these 7 o'clock calls because I do think it's going to be a little bit more available for player and parent to be able to join in. And that's really the goal, is like, if you're listening to this live and you're a high school baseball player, maybe Shark, you're one. Just kidding, you said that you're in 8th grade. By the way, I do work with 8th graders and up, but like if you're just watching this and you're in your room, go tell your parents that you are just watching this. By the way, this is all uploaded to YouTube, Shark. So like, go ahead over to my YouTube channel. Today is episode 35. But yeah, if you have like if your parents are around, like, have them know that you're inquiring about developing your skills to play at the next level, because that's going to make them realize that you're taking this serious and you actually care about doing this, right? You care about doing this the right way, and you're not going to be cutting corners. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. We do have the great outro that you guys will see as far as some of the players that I have worked with. My dad told me to get on here too. Let's go. So you guys have already had that conversation. If you're interested and if you're actually serious about taking your game to the next level, Shark, I don't know if we've had a conversation in the DMs yet, but yeah, the next step is really to schedule out a Zoom call. So go tell your dad, see if this is something that you want to do. The Zoom call is one-on-one, so that way I'm very specific in your situation. We can go over things like, reclassing, what your development looks like, what your recruiting could look like, and what that one-on-one mentorship would look like with me being your coach. So if that's something that you feel like might help, then go ahead and do that. That's simply found on my website in the link in my bio. And yeah, just have that conversation. There is a video on my website. Watch that video with your parents. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'll see you guys on Monday. We're doing this weekdays only. Weekdays only, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys on the next one.